Hello, everybody. I'm John Higgins. I am a contributing writer to Film and TV Now, and I also run the Facebook page, John Higgins Film Review. And I'm delighted to welcome actress Rachel Nielsen, who's worked in film, TV, and stage. She can currently be seen in a recurring role in HBO's Mayor of Easttown, which stars Kate Winslet, which premiered on April the 18th. And it's actually in the UK on Sky Atlantic at the moment. If you're watching elsewhere, by all means, check your local broadcaster and streaming platforms for where it is. She also stars as the female lead in the upcoming adventure comedy Alpha Rift, alongside actors Aaron Dalla Vila and Lance Henriksen. And in addition to acting, she's also a proud member of New York Women in Film and Television, a terrific community if you ever get a chance. That's at nywif.com, a featured performer and vocalist in the recently released gaming world anthem D20 Alpha Rift tribute, which is streaming on YouTube and all music platforms. Rachel, very warm welcome to you. Thank you for taking part in this today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I want to start with your career stage. I mean, where do you feel, well, there's two parts to this. Where do you feel you are in terms of your own place in the acting community and world? And what was the first major spark that got you into this creative journey?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I'm in a pretty exciting place in my career. I'm just grateful even during this time and pandemic to just be able to have opportunities and auditions and self-tapes and to be able to be working. So it's a pretty nice place, and I'm very grateful for that. But what kind of started, I guess, like the spark for acting was I grew up in a very creative household. So like my parents, encouraged us to read a lot and would take us to see theater. And I mean, I remember there's like a children's book, like Amelia Bedelia, and I remember seeing like a play of that when I was very, very little. So that just stuck in my mind. And it was things like that and watching television like I Love Lucy and Carol Burnett that like my parents had us watch that was just very inspiring for me. And so in middle school, I was kind of shy, and my mom was like, you should do the drama program. Like that'll help you with like self-expression and be a very good outlet. And so once I got involved in that, I just had a fantastic drama teacher, and that's kind of where things took off.
Great. And then, of course, what we talk about today is because today, for example, it seems to me that everybody, it happens so fast. I mean, today it seems to me every other week there's a new face on the block in Hollywood or New York and stuff. And
Mhm.
we understand, I mean, you started your roots in community theatre and musicals. Now, today, we don't think so much about that. I think obviously there's a lot of actors out there who think, oh, we've got to go straight to Hollywood and we've got to be, the whole thing where, you
Mhm.
suddenly become a huge star at like 15. You have a Miley Cyrus or you have a Kate Winslet, and all of a sudden they're thrust into the limelight. So, of course, we know it's not that difficult because, of course, it's a competitive thing. But how, in terms of that, I mean, how important is that experience in the development of an actor's career? And how do you get from community theatre, etc., to TV and high-profile projects like Mayor of Easttown?
Oh man, I mean, when it comes to community theater, I mean, like you said, that's kind of like my roots. And I feel like it's just so formative as an actor to start in theater. I mean, there's nothing like live performance, right? There's nothing like the experience of, I mean, making a mistake or experiencing like something happening spontaneous in the moment in theater. And I feel like that's really like an amazing training ground just to kind of understand acting and to, really get a passion for performing. So I definitely think that it's something like if you're a young actor and you're looking to, even if you're aspiring for film, definitely to start with theater because it's a really good training ground for that. But I kind of went from community theater. I just did a lot of it, and I knew that I wanted to focus on acting since it was one of my passions. I loved academics, but I knew that that was something that I also just wanted to devote a lot of time to because I wanted to grow and develop my craft and learn. So I looked for a performing arts high school and auditioned for that, got accepted into that. And while I was there, actually, a director for a television show, Fox's Chat Room, had come when I was 16. I just started at the school. He came to the school looking to cast the show. So he cast myself and a series of, maybe a handful of other kids to do these little sketches and vignettes. And that's kind of where I just got excited about being on set and film and television as well.
Great. I mean, funnily enough, that actually leads into my next two questions, which is
Mhm.
about big break, which I think obviously chat room is the big break. I suppose it was the thing that got you going, and you've just explained that, so that's really terrific. So,
Mhm.
um, let's talk a little bit about chat room. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but tell us. I mean, obviously, for the people who are uninitiated or unfamiliar with, tell us what chat room is.
Sure. Chat room is it's kind of like a talk show, a discussion show for teens. So it's pretty cool in that way, and where there was a panel of teens that got together and they just talked about issues that were important to teens, are important to teens, like bullying, depression. So it just kind of covered the gamut of these sort of serious topics to address them. And they had these little vignettes that would, happen during the show where it was like acted out scenes. For instance, like played like a depressed teen in one of them. So it would be like somebody coming up to me at lunch, I'm sitting all by myself, like, nobody come near me kind of thing. And they had like a student come up and kind of just, be compassionate towards me and ask me different questions. So it was little sketches like that that just kind of like encouraged how to deal with these kind of situations as a teen, maybe, or talk about them. So yeah, it was a pretty cool show to be a part of.
Sounds great. I mean, obviously, we must talk about some of your other projects now. What can people focus on the most at present? I mean, the big one that you obviously are enthusiastic to talk about is a thing called Alpha Rift.
Mhm.
And tell us about that, because I understand there is. When will we be able to see that, and when is it going to be available for people to watch?
Mhm. So I do know that it will be coming out this year. I can't give away more information than that, but definitely to keep an eye out for that. And I think the trailer should be dropping sometime soon. But Alpha Rift is a feature film where I star as the female lead alongside the talented Arendelle Villa and Lance Henriksen, who was like an alien in Terminator. So it's like it was very very cool to work with him. Like I was like, oh man, I get to work with Lance. Like I was super excited. But it's an action and adventure comedy, and it revolves around this main character, Nolan, who owns a gaming store. And he's a fanboy. So it's a very relatable character. Like, everybody geeks about something. So it's, he has a love of gaming. And he grew up on these legends of the noblemen, thinking, like, oh, these are just like myths and stories that I grew up hearing. But then he finds out that they're real, and through the course of the movie, kind of gets pulled into the center of his own like hero journey. And I play Gabby, who kind of has a crush on him that unfolds in the movie. And, she's kind of the heart of the film as well. She's very spunky. So it was a blast to play her and just a blast to be a part of that movie. I'm definitely excited about it.
So we must talk about Lance Henriksen, because I mean, you've mentioned some of his things, but I mean, he's done some amazing things over the years. I mean, I grew up with these movies. I mean, Dog Day Afternoon, um, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He played one
Mm.
of these scientists. I mean, Damien Omen too, where he played Nevermind, who was the sergeant who looked after Damien. But he also appeared in, I mean, the Terminator Aliens, but also Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth, which was this terrific action movie, like a B movie thing. So you've mentioned that you think he's an amazing thing, but what do you feel makes him such a versatile acting talent? Because these days he's not he's got a unique face and a new means of expression. I mean, when we watch him as Bishop and as the cop in the Terminator, I mean, he's one of those faces that kind of draws in. But what's it like working with him? I mean, what's he like on set? I mean, and as I say, what makes him such a versatile acting talent?
Mhm. Lance, oh my gosh, he also is in The Falling, which recently came out with Viggo Mortensen. I don't know if you heard about that, but he was
Mm-hmm.
excellent in that. And just like you were saying, I mean, all of those movies that you mentioned, like his characters are just so different. I mean, I think that he's an incredibly versatile actor, and it was just a pleasure to learn from him. And I think that it's also just comes from like and stems from this place of, I mean, he's just so passionate. Like when I was working with him on set, I was kind of blown away by the fact that, I mean, he has had this expansive career. Like he could show up to set one day and phone it in. Like, I mean, he kind of has like this high caliber where it's like, you know, people like that, they might show up and you never know, like they could rest on their laurels kind of thing. But he was giving it 100% every day. And that was just very inspiring. That's something that I hope to emulate in my career, as I go along. And so I think that it's just kind of that passion and that drive in him. And just like, he's a very giving actor, he's very giving in a take as a scene partner, and he's just a very giving person as well. So I think that that just kind of fuels and helps him to just have the versatile career that he's had.
Hmm. And so we've got to talk a little bit about this music video, the D20 Alpha tribute music video, which and also the inspiration, which I understand was the film, and also Dungeons and Dragons. So could you tell us a
Mhm.
bit more about that, please?
Oh yes, this is fun to talk about because D20 Alpha Rift Tribute, like you said, it's a music video and it's inspired by the movie Alpha Rift and also gaming and Dungeons and Dragons. And that kind of came about because in the thick of the pandemic, the director from Alpha Rift had reached out to me with this idea, asking me if I wanted to be on board. Because we were kind of looking to just do something together, something fun in the pandemic, something creative. I've remained friends with these people. It's been 2 years since filming and we're still in touch. So we just love collaborating and doing stuff together. Myself, the director, and the cast. So I was on board with it. We got together, safely and wrapped and had a really good time. And it's pretty cool too because the music video, actually Luke Gygax, who is the son of the creator of Dungeons and Dragons, has seen the video and like loved it and shared it on his Twitch, which I was like, what? Like that's so cool. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And it just like, I mean, it was really just like humbling and pretty cool because just to know that it's had an impact and it honored the gaming community well, that's something that really meant something to me.
Right. I want to veer off slightly. I mean, this is relevant, but I mean, I want to talk about the agent relationship, because
Mhm.
in terms of responsibility, I mean, how responsible does an actor have to be? Because obviously an agent kind of navigates and mentors your career, and they want to kind of get you the best jobs, and it's obviously that kind of thing. But where does your responsibility as an actor come in terms of, when you're sort of discussing projects with your agents about potential things? Because obviously, I mean, how does what's the dynamic of that kind of specific relationship like for you?
Sure. I mean, I'm very fortunate to, be working with people that I love that, I think are very passionate and wonderful people and people who I can go to and have synergy with and talk to about, lots of different things and bring questions to. And I really think that that's, what's important in that relationship. You want somebody who kind of values your talent, values your work, the preparation that you put into things, and, you value them as well. I mean, they put in a lot of effort to get you jobs and to help you in your career, and so it really is a partnership. And so I think having that perspective, and that's really what it's about, just being able to be open with them and communicate.
Great. So, of course, we must move on to one of the big shows on TV at the moment, Mayor of Easttown, and it stars Kate Winslet, who, of course, we seems to be as prolific now as she ever was when she sort of took that fateful boat. But what did you learn from her experience? I mean, obviously, I haven't seen the show's only just there, starting to air anyway on television, and of
Mhm.
course, we'll see what the impact of the show will be soon anyway. But what have been the big things you've learned from watching people like Kate Winslet and other actors on the set?
Oh man, I mean, I learned so much. Like it was such a memorable experience and definitely something that, I'm going to carry with me and that had a very lasting impact on me as an actor. There was so much to glean from her. I mean, I love her as an actress, and working with her on set, the first scene that I showed up to film, and this was prior to the pandemic, it was with Kate Winslet, David Dedman, Kate Arrington, and Gory Rice, and the actor who played my boyfriend. And like I said, it was very intense. I mean, the circumstances of the show are pretty dark. So, I didn't know what to expect with the mood, showing up to set, but it was actually really wonderful because there was kind of this like spirit of just like levity and joy. And I think that Kate Winslet, she was just, she was very grounded and present, but she was also very playful. In one of the takes, she made a joke and she called David Dedman by his like character on The Office, which I was like, oh my God, it's so cool because I'm also an Office fan. And that just made everybody laugh. And she actually injured herself. It's in the show, like she injures her ankle, but she really injured her ankle. And so like she would kind of joke about that as well. So she just had like a really great disposition the entire time. And that's something that I really admired and that really just impacted me.
Hmm. So obviously we must talk about life and time management, because obviously we talk about the unpredictability of the acting trade per se. So in
Mhm.
your case, I mean, how do you time manage your career? And I mean, how do you deal with downtime?
Um, you know, I think that it's important to have balance. So that's kind of how I deal with the downtime. I have different hobbies. I'll play Dungeons and Dragons with the people from Alpha Rift, like on Monday nights. So that's like a fun thing that I have to look forward to, and just kind of structuring in different things. Like I read a lot of books. I play ukulele. I just learned like Taylor Swift, Exile on the ukulele, and I'm trying to learn more from her album Folklore. And I write as well. I mostly write poetry and journal and that kind of stuff. So it's just finding different interests, because I think everything in life, balance is important, and life will fuel your art. So I think that it's just important to find those things, those hobbies, those interests, different things that you can do that will just make you happy. And ultimately it serves that, and helps you to manage your time and just be more joyful.
Sounds like you've got it all together, which is terrific. I mean, that's always nice. So let's talk a little bit about your on-set relationships with crew and technicians, because how important is it to create a positive vibe on set?
Not important at all. No, I'm just kidding. It's very, very important. I think, John Cassavetes at one point had said like creativity is about, enjoyment, and it's about, being positive and stuff on set. For him to say that about creativity, I think it just is a testament to, I don't think like creativity can flourish without, somebody being positive, somebody being able to work with others. So I do think that it's very, very important, to have a positive attitude to show up to set. And definitely, yeah, getting along with everyone. You can make close friends. I think that it's just a really amazing opportunity, to learn, to grow, and to connect with other people. And so, you don't want to shut yourself off, from that. I think that it's just, genuinely amazing when you get to make those friendships with crew, with cast, with, directors, with other people on set, because, everybody loves film. They love, being there, I think, too. It's just, the more joyful you are, the more that that kind of rubs off on other people as well. So definitely positivity is important.
Okay. So obviously one of the big topics at the moment is diversity in general. I mean, obviously with everything going on with Me Too and Times Up, I mean, of course, the pandemic's kind of relegated that a bit, but obviously it's coming back into the frame because we are sort of coming out of the pandemic.
Mhm.
What are your own reflections on that? I mean, how crucial is it to maintain a balanced perspective in such an incredibly competitive industry?
I mean, I think that that's obviously very, very important, diversity and inclusivity. And so I do think that it's pretty amazing, the different like steps that have been taken, and the different things that are sort of coming to light and everything with the industry. I think that some people are definitely making concrete changes that are important. For myself, gender equality, women's rights, female narratives, especially, and amplifying of female voices is something that I'm very passionate about. It's always been an interest of mine, which is why I joined NIWIFT in the beginning of the year, which, I mean, for people who don't know, is the New York, Film and Television, and for women. And that's just an amazing and vibrant community, of awesome women in the industry. So it's awesome to be a part of that supportive group. And I think finding other women and other people that, have the same mission, who care and value, diversity, and just the same sort of, social impact, I think is important to find, and certainly to continue to push for in the industry.
Yeah. I mean, obviously today, I mean, this is what we're coming to next is obviously the social media impact on actors these days, because it seems to me I mean, Jennifer Garner loves Instagram. I mean, she does all this kind of stuff on there.
Mhm.
And the social media impact is tremendous today, because obviously, it can change an actor's career. In a blink of an eye, it can sort of change fate and bring people, up or down. I mean, what do you feel the pros and cons of the usage of social media are, and where do you feel social media can benefit both the media and the actor itself, which they're focusing on?
Mhm. I mean, kind of like you said, I think that there's pros and cons to it. And it's very interesting, and it's just wild how it's affected and shifted the industry. Um, but I think that it can be a very like wonderful creative outlet. It can be a way that, you can make your own content, put your own media out there, get it to be seen. I think that there's more visibility with that now, and that's pretty cool and exciting for artists, especially new artists. And if you're looking for a way to just get your content out there, or if that's something, that you want to do weekly, just to kind of work on those muscles. I know people that will like film a scene, post it every week, something like that. So that can be pretty cool. I don't have any social media, because I do feel that there are some cons. I think that sometimes it can, mess with your concentration a little bit, if you're constantly looking and scrolling at your phone. So I just know for myself, that I don't want to constantly be craning my neck and like, scrolling through something. So yeah, that's one of the cons I think to that, to social media. But other than that, I do think it can be a really great tool.
Great. Okay. So let's talk about visibility, because obviously you are in the public eye and everything else, and you're part of a big show. I mean, how has your life changed in terms of your visibility in the public eye? I mean, is it more or less than when you were an unknown artist breaking through?
I mean, it's not like I can walk out of the house and like there's paparazzi or something, which I guess is nice. It's definitely, I don't think my visibility has really changed, which is nice, and that's something that I kind of hope for. It really is about the work for me. Like I just love acting. I love being able to work with really cool people like Kate Winslet. I just love those opportunities. That's really why I got into it, was from community theater, was just from just a genuine passion for acting. So, I kind of hope that I can be able to, hopefully as, my career grows, as I'm able to do, profile kind of projects with directors that I admire and everything like that. I kind of hope I can maintain a semblance of, my personal life and privacy, because that is important to me. That's something that I believe in.
Great. So obviously, we've just come to the end of the awards season with the Oscars and everything else, and we must talk a little bit about the other side of it, which is critical acclaim and stuff. I mean,
Mhm.
how important is it to have good constructive reviews, and where do you place the importance of a good award in your achievements?
Um, Obviously, I mean, I think awards can be flattering, but I don't necessarily like place a very like I don't get my validation from awards or from acclaim. Like, I mean, when I was in high school, I got like a Phillies Extraordinary Scholar where I got honored at Citizens Bank Park, and that was pretty epic. Like, you're, in the middle of a baseball field in a stadium, and like you're being honored, which is cool. But for me, it's more just about celebrating like the progress. And I do think that it can be very nice to have that, but I do think that it's important not really to focus on it. It's about the work kind of thing. So definitely that's where my focus would be at.
Right. Okay. So obviously we're looking at the present at the moment with your work now, but let's talk a little bit about future goals and plans. I mean, what would you like to most do in the future? Because obviously with acting it's big, but would you be you? We know that you do some writing. I mean, would you be interested in working behind the camera and maybe working as a producer or a director?
Oh, I mean, for sure. Down the road, I definitely see myself. I mean, like you said, like I love, when I said before too, I love writing. I love writing poetry. When I was in high school, I won a writing contest where I got to meet Kevin Bacon, which was pretty cool. Like I wrote about an embarrassing story. His band was kind of coming through, and was going to be performing at a venue that was close to where I lived. And so when I read about them having that contest, it was an embarrassing story contest. So I wrote about like a time when I was in middle school and I wore a shirt as a skirt by accident, which like, not the smartest fashion choice. But anyways, that was cool. And that just kind of, encouraged that writing, hobby and passion in me as well. So I can see myself doing some writing down the road and doing something behind the camera. But definitely I aspire to, and my goal is to be able to work with directors and actors that I really love. I love Brendan Fraser from The Mummy. Like that's a movie from my childhood that I've seen like 100 times. So I feel like I could just retire after working with him. I mean, not really, but I would definitely die if I worked with him. And also just working with, I mean, there's a lot of actresses that I respect as well. I love Letitia Wright. I think that she's an incredible actress. I love Viola Davis. I think she's very powerful. She just performs and portrays every character with such depth and such sensitivity. I mean, she's a master, and that's something that I hope to emulate, in my own career. And I also love Greta Gerwig, and I would love to be able to work with her. She's an amazing director and actress, and she really gives insight into the minds and motivations of, these female characters with respect and authenticity and strength and vulnerability. And it would be such an amazing opportunity to work with her. So those are definitely some of the goals, some of the dreams and hopes that I have for my career.
Which all sounds great. And finally, before we sign off, I've got to ask you, I mean, what are you most proud of?
What I'm most proud of, I think that I'm just most proud of being able to, not give up and being able to maintain a sense of joy and just, I think that it's important to be yourself and continue to just walk in your own path because that's what's going to be the most fulfilling and the most meaningful. I think that if you pursue something you love, it's going to make you happy. And so definitely just not to be discouraged. I've had moments where, people have maybe tried to discourage me. Like I had a guidance counselor in high school who told me that pursuing a creative profession would just be a waste of time. I mean, that was very disheartening and upset me at the time. And I was fortunate to have, supportive family and friends. And that just kind of motivated me to then, look for that performing arts high school and transfer and pursue it even more. But it's just, I know that it can be hard. And so I would definitely say that, that's meaningful to me, just being able to persevere.
Well, Rachel, it's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and insights. I mean, I've been really fascinated, and I'm sure everybody else who's watching this will be very fascinated as well.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so what we're going to do is say this. Okay, so to everybody else, the interview is going to be posted as part of a special article about Rachel on filmandtvnow.com. We'll also bring up her website if any of you want to to learn a bit more about Rachel. So we're forever grateful. And I just want to say before we finish, I just want to say congratulations on everything you've done so far. I
Oh,
wish
thank
you
you.
well with your career. And I'm sure that all those ambitions you had for working with people like Greta Gerwig and Viola Davis, I'm sure that down the line you'll achieve so much more. So
Oh,
I
thanks.
wish you well with Mayor of Easttown. Again, it's on HBO in America and on Sky Atlantic in the UK. By all means, do check out these things and do support films like Alfred Rift and places like that. Do support the independent community. Do check out NYWIF, New York Women in Film and Television, a great community. They do seminars and a variety of other things. And on that note, we thank you again, Rachel. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. Thanks. This is fun.
Thank you.